I'm going to say it could be a trap. You're going to say you're being wild and crazy. But that's what I have to be.
They set mousetraps for the bear that is President Trump, and he walked through.
She walks on it, it stops, she turns around to the president, and she just leads the president up and walks. So she was unfazed by it. But this could have been a massive issue. And you know, the president being frozen there in one place makes him vulnerable.
Yeah. Unless he can walk, then they act like they dropped him into shark-infested waters. It was an escalator. You know what another word for frozen escalator is? Stairs.
Donald Trump's plan is to do what he did last time, which was give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. And the reason some people think, well, I don't know, I remember that economy when he first came in being pretty good. Yeah, it was pretty good, because it was my economy. We had 75.
Trump dreamed of being etched in history as a towering figure, but every mention of his name feels less like Mount Rushmore and more like a skit that didn't make the cut on late-night TV. Instead of statues, he collects punchlines. Instead of monuments, he's plastered on memes. And instead of reverence, he sparks eye rolls. That's where Jimmy Kimmel and Barack Obama swoop in armed with sharper wit than policy to shred the fragile myth Trump wears like cheap cologne.
He might have to release the Epstein files to distract us from this now.
Here's a 78-year-old billionaire who has not stopped whining about his problems since he rode down his golden escalator 9 years ago. It has been a constant stream of gripes and grievances.
Kimmel wastes no time casting Trump as the human version of a broken GPS, loud, overconfident, and convinced he's always right, yet forever steering the nation into dead ends. His sense of direction isn't rooted in facts or strategy, but in ego and late-night impulses. It's less turn right at the next light and more veer wildly into chaos because it feels good. The result? A presidency stuck on permanent reroute.
They act like they dropped him into shark-infested waters. It was an escalator. You know what another word for frozen escalator is? Stairs. I'm starting to get confused. Is he the strongest, healthiest, most physically powerful man-beast ever elected president, or a brittle-boned grandma with osteoporosis? Which is he?
Obama, with his trademark calm, takes a measured, long-term view. He doesn't need to shout or rant. He exposes the absurdity of a man who mistakes Twitter storms for governing. While past presidents built legacies on policy, diplomacy, and leadership, Trump's record reads like a highlight reel of tantrums, ego, and chaos. He turns press briefings into circus acts and international summits into reality TV episodes. For Obama, it's not about party politics. It's about witnessing the highest office in the land degrade into a parody of itself, one tweet at a time.
There's the childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes. I heard someone compare Trump to the neighbor who keeps running his leaf blower outside your window every minute of every day. From a neighbor, that's exhausting. From a president, it's just dangerous.
Kimmel zeroes in on Trump's obsession with crowd sizes, ridiculing how he treats every event as a personal popularity contest. Rather than addressing global crises, he counts attendees like a teenager refreshing Instagram likes. The more he craves admiration, the louder the laughter grows. When a leader prioritizes inflating numbers over solving real problems, even comedians have an easy job, turning his vanity into endless material that highlights just how foolish he appears on the world stage.
Kicked a safety mechanism, but Agatha Christie and his team of defective detectives, they do not believe it. They are on the case. This was not just a minor incident. This was a harrowing escape.
Trump and Melania were riding it up, and it just stopped.
Thankfully, the First Lady and the President had their hands on the rail as they were going up the escalator.
I've never known an escalator to be stopped.
Obama, with surgical precision, contrasts Trump's endless self-praise with the stark reality of his record. Promises of greatness have crumbled into broken deals, fractured alliances, and relentless scandals. What was billed as a golden era resembles a clearance sale of credibility. While Trump demands constant recognition, Obama shows that true leadership earns respect through results, not noise. Trump, however, mistakes applause for approval, surrounding himself with sycophants who nod along while the world watches and quietly laughs at the chaos he creates.
It wasn't something he did. I had spent 8 years cleaning up the mess that the Republicans had left me the last time. So just in case everybody has a hazy memory, he didn't do nothing except those big tax cuts.
Kimmel ruthlessly exposes the absurd theatrics of Trump's daily life. From over-the-top hand gestures and mispronounced words to his bizarre obsession with assigning nicknames to opponents, every action radiates insecurity. He's turned the Oval Office into a perpetual open mic night, where the jokes aren't clever, they're desperate attempts at projecting strength. Comedy arises not from wit, but from watching a man who believes he's the smartest in the room, yet proves otherwise with every word. Obama, meanwhile, focuses on the global stage, highlighting how allies and adversaries view Trump less as a statesman and more as an entertainer who stumbled into politics. Diplomacy, once grounded in patience, knowledge, and tact, is replaced by bluster and bravado. Obama doesn't exaggerate. The eye rolls of foreign leaders speak volumes. History won't remember grand accomplishments, only the slapstick show America endured under a leader more invested in applause than progress. Kimmel, ever the late-night sniper, skewers Trump's obsession with image. From spray tans and awkward hair flaps to that permanent scowl, the world watches the most powerful man desperately try to prove he belongs on a magazine cover, turning vanity into primetime fodder.
I'm going to say it could be a trap. You're going to say you're being wild and crazy. But that's what I have to be.
They set mousetraps for the bear that is President Trump, and he walked through.
She walks on it, it stops, she turns around to the president, and she just leads the president up and walks. So she was unfazed by it. But this could have been a massive issue. And you know, the president being frozen there in one place makes him vulnerable.
Yeah.
Obama tackles the absurdity from the perspective of legacy. Every president wonders how history will remember them, but Trump takes it to extremes, wanting taller monuments, longer speeches, and flashier headlines. Yet the more he pushes, the clearer it becomes that history won't see him as a visionary. Instead, he'll be remembered as a cautionary tale of a brand supplanting a brain. Obama doesn't need anger. Calm reflection suffices to show that Trump's true legacy is farce. Kimmel amplifies the critique by mocking Trump's warped relationship with facts. Obsessed with being right, he's consistently wrong, every statement a potential blooper reel. Scientists, economists, generals, all sidelined in favor of gut instincts that lead nowhere but ridicule. Kimmel likens Trump's presidency to refusing GPS while insisting on a shortcut straight into traffic. Obama contrasts this with true leadership, quiet, measured, and effective. By spotlighting this difference, he dismantles the myth Trump peddles to his base, revealing it as hollow bravado masquerading as greatness.
So we have the spectacle of my successor in the Oval Office making broad claims around certain drugs and autism that have been continuously disproved. And the degree to which that undermines public health, the degree to which that can do harm to women.
Kimmel mines endless comedy from Trump's obsession with television ratings. Success, in his view, isn't measured by policy or governance, but by Nielsen scores. National addresses feel like pilot episodes, crises treated like sweeps week, and every appearance is staged for maximum spectacle, as if the nation were a captive audience. The punchline? America isn't entertained, it's exhausted. The presidency has shifted from leadership to a never-ending audition for relevance. Obama, meanwhile, focuses on the personal. He recalls how past leaders carried themselves with dignity under immense pressure, understanding that the office demands restraint and humility. Trump, in contrast, thrives on chaos, equating noise with strength. The tragedy is that the presidency, once a symbol of stability, now mirrors his personal volatility. Obama doesn't need to shout. The damage is evident in every headline and international sigh. Kimmel's jokes about Trump's golf obsession are just the tip of the iceberg, highlighting how a man who promised tireless work treats a golf cart as his true cabinet seat, turning vanity into national spectacle.
They act like they dropped him into shark-infested waters. It was an escalator. You know what another word for frozen escalator is? Stairs. I'm starting to get confused. Is he the strongest, healthiest, most physically powerful man-beast ever elected president, or a brittle-boned grandma with osteoporosis? I don't know, which is it? If you did not see the speech Trump gave at the UN, suffice it to say, if you go on vacation out of the country this year, it would be a good idea to pretend to be Canadian, okay? It was an hour of bragging and bullying and BS. You know what that stands for, right, Guillermo?
The absurdity intensifies when you remember how Trump spent years shaming others for playing too much golf, only to turn that very pastime into his personal refuge, a grassy escape from accountability. Kimmel seizes on this hypocrisy, crafting endless jokes about a president who campaigns on working harder than anyone yet dedicates hours to perfecting his short game. It's the kind of irony late-night shows live for, a setup practically writing itself. But Kimmel doesn't stop at the hours lost on the green. He underscores the extravagant costs, taxpayer dollars poured into protecting and facilitating these endless outings. The humor evolves from wasted time to squandered resources. While ordinary Americans tighten their belts, their leader indulges in a lifestyle more reminiscent of a country club than a presidency. Yet the leisure isn't merely recreation. It symbolizes a leadership style rooted in image over duty, pleasure over responsibility. Every golf trip becomes a case study in distraction, a vivid emblem of how the highest office in the land has been transformed into a personal playground, prioritizing vanity over governance. And optics over action.
Donald, how can someone so old be so childish? It's Benjamin can't button his pants. You know, we talk about how much time Trump wastes playing golf. He seems to be spending a lot more time posting dumb AI videos lately. Our governor, Gavin Newsom, has been roasting him online, and so now Trump is doubling up. Last night, he posted a whole string of deep fakes, including... That's what he was meant to do, repost videos with his head pasted on a man whose thighs...
And that's where the contrast between Kimmel and Obama shines. Kimmel's jokes sting because they point to the everyday absurdities, the waste, the hypocrisy, the sheer ridiculousness of a man who pretends to be tireless while endlessly golfing. Obama's words cut deeper, not because they're angry, but because they reveal a truth that can't be laughed away. Trump's golf habit is not an isolated quirk. It's an extension of a worldview that prizes personal indulgence above collective progress. Kimmel doubles down by comparing Trump's leadership to a golf scorecard, constantly fudged, inflated, and manipulated to make him look better than he is. Just as golfers give themselves generous mulligans, Trump grants himself endless excuses. When something goes wrong, it's never his swing, always the course, the wind, or the rules themselves. It's the same with his presidency. Each outing projects wealth, status, and exclusivity, all the things Trump values most. Yet in the process, he undermines the seriousness of the office, reducing it to another prop in his ongoing reality performance.
This week. Have you been enjoying Trump's most ridiculous distraction from the Epstein files yet? The president claims he's the victim of a triple sabotage during his visit to the United Nations building in New York on Tuesday. The teleprompter wasn't working. There were issues with the sound system, and most nefariously of all, his escalator stopped.
Kimmel finds humor in the optics. A president in golf spikes while crises unfold back in Washington is the ultimate split-screen comedy. He jokes that the only wall Trump ever truly committed to building was the one keeping ordinary Americans off the fairways of his private clubs. The punchline isn't just in the negligence. It's in the absurd image of a leader hiding behind golf carts while pretending to face down history. Obama, with his calm delivery, places those optics in context. Golf isn't just a pastime. It's an escape from accountability. Every time Trump disappears to the course, it signals a retreat from the challenges of leadership. Instead of confronting problems head-on, he buries them under sand traps and tea times. Obama's analysis underscores that the presidency requires presence, engagement, and endurance, qualities Trump consistently substitutes with leisure. It's about the perception of victory. If you tell yourself you're winning enough times, maybe someone will believe it. In golf, that's cheating. In politics, it's chaos.
Speaking of Vladimir Putin, Trump held a virtual meeting with leaders from the EU today to talk about that war in Ukraine. He said he would end in 24 hours. This is his thing now. He wants a Nobel Prize, is what he's fixated on, so he's constantly blabbing about all the wars he's stopped.
We stopped 3 wars, go to Africa. They like to say, oh, you know, I love black people.
That's true. Did you know he ended the Infinity War in Wakanda? That's how much he loves black people. Every time he speaks now, he says this. He says, no one has ended more wars, and no one has ever worked harder for peace than Nelson.
Obama drives the point home by placing Trump in the continuum of history. He reflects on how past leaders balance the immense pressures of office with hobbies, but never let leisure overshadow duty. Trump, by contrast, elevates his hobby to a defining characteristic of his presidency. It's not just an activity. It's a symbol of detachment, of a leader more invested in personal pleasure than public service. The golf course becomes less about sport and more about spectacle, a stage for the performance of success without the substance. Together, Kimmel and Obama expose the farce from 2 angles, comedy and critique. Kimmel shows the everyday ridiculousness, the hypocrisy, and the theater. Obama reveals the underlying tragedy, the hollowing out of an office once defined by sacrifice. Trump's golfing isn't just a punchline. It's a metaphor for everything his presidency represents. Kimmel turns it into jokes. Obama frames it as diagnosis, but both converge on the same conclusion. Trump's time on the course tells us everything we need to know about his time in office.